how do you produce a webinar? So when we're talking about producing a webinar, that's really the coordinator behind the scenes. That could be the same as the presenter, of course, but if you're working in a team, sometimes it's more about someone coordinating everything and then the presenter being able to create the presentation slide deck and actually practice the presentation itself. It actually helps with, giving a more balanced workload across the team, especially when you want to do some high-level webinars with intricate cutting backs and forth and all these kind of things. And to explain this, we actually have a special guest today. He's coming from Australia. His name is Zach. So without further ado, let me just put on my headphones over here so I can hear what Zach is saying. And let's bring in Zach. So let's get into the thick of things and let's talk about how do you produce, or how did you go about producing or coordinating these webinars, okay? So I got a couple questions for you over here. So what helps in the lead up and preparation before running a webinar? So let the audience know, what did you do to get this all coordinated?
Yeah, so for episode 1, we definitely made sure we had enough time in the lead up to get the rust off and make sure we were comfortable on the day. That's really what your aim is, to feel comfortable in what you're doing and the way you're going to be doing it throughout that day. And so a dry run, going through it once or twice beforehand, as if you're doing it. So actually having the cameras set up, doing it word for word, switching between the cameras, doing every little part of it. So when you do it on the day, it feels a lot more comfortable. That was the first thing and probably the most important thing. And the second one, and the thing we actually learned from doing that dry run, was finding indicative language. So I'm obviously switching between slides and videos and the camera on Luke, and at some points even zooming that camera in. I needed to know when to do those things. And so instead of memorizing all points, I memorized certain key phrases or terms that Luke was going to use when he was ready to have that slide pop up or have the camera zoom or whatever it might be. If you can't have that time to go through the indicative language, little things like I ran a webinar yesterday and my co-host was there switching for me. And anytime I pointed off to my side, that was sort of a message just to her that I wanted her to switch it over to the slide. That just makes it a little bit smoother. You never kind of cut to a slide before it's meant to come up. And it's nice timing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's like getting your presenters and everyone in the conversation early enough and then getting them to practice when there's time, or when time allows to practice, to kind of go through the motions and figure everything out technically before you go live the first time. Speaking of which, when you went live the first time, was there anything that you discovered during your first live presentation that you wish you knew before you went live for the first time?
Oh boy, was there. Just to give you two of them. Of course, everything's a learning curve, right? And hindsight, is nice to have. There's probably two things. The first one is having that 5 minutes at the start of your webinar or your live stream, just to allow for people to enter a little bit late, or to sort out their technical difficulties. If they're having problems hearing you or seeing you, or it's a little bit laggy, just that 5 minutes at the start with general banter or just talking to your audience is a good way of allowing everyone to get in and we can all start at the same point. That would be my first one. And the second one, that if you've seen the first episode, if you watched the first episode live, I wish I'd had an end card. So as we wrapped up and we're ready to stop the live stream, I wish we'd had Shoots the logo or something just to pop up and cover us. Instead, what you would have seen is a good 30 seconds to a minute of Luke staring down the barrel of the lens as I furiously pressed the button to try and stop the webinar. But because there was about 600 people on, it wouldn't pause, it wouldn't stop the webinar. So it was a nice little bonus content at the end for anyone who stuck around, just to sit there and look at Luke's lovely beard.
Well, that stuff would have been amazing if it was actually coordinated to have that, right? But when it's not coordinated, then it's a little bit more like, uh-oh, we didn't think about that one.
Yes.
Well, luckily for us, this is the third episode and we have coordinated that, so we won't have that. Which leads me to the next question. After you've been on both sides now, both presenting and doing the switching on the back end, what are some of the things that you've learned that you can share with the audience here?
Look, it's been really helpful to do both sides of it now. You appreciate them both sides, and you also really appreciate the people that do both sides at once, like yourself when you do your trainings, I believe, Gary.
Yeah, thanks.
And I've learned three main things from that. The first is the pre-recorded segments are a great way to give your speaker a break, to drink water, to look at your notes, just to reset a little bit. Because as I'm sure you're finding out right about now, talking for about an hour isn't the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, if you've met me, I could do it, but it's.
You can do 10 hours.
I just ramble though. I just ramble endlessly.
For us mere mortals, talking for that long can be a little painful and difficult. So those are a nice way to break it up. The second thing is having a second laptop with your notes. Now, the reason I have a laptop is that currently I'm running this from a PC next to me, but I want it on a separate system. So if anything is happening and anything is slowing down, I can still see the notes that I want to speak about, and it's separate from technical difficulties that might go wrong. And speaking of those, always have those backups. So I am talking to a camera right now. If that died randomly, there's a webcam on standby. If the headphones died, there are other headphones on standby. Always have those backups.
Yeah.
And the third one is having someone on your live stream, on your side, as I can see you do now, that is able to message you directly. That way, if you are doing the stream and you get a little notification pop up that says, hey, you're speaking a little bit quickly or you're a little bit too soft or loud, you can make those adjustments on the fly and you don't have to find out after that webinar is over.
Yeah, fair point. Which also brings up like making sure your equipment is fully charged. I know when we are teaching clients and so forth, like it's surprising how often their batteries are almost dead. We're about to shoot. And then we're scrambling really hard to go like, okay, how can we charge this? How can we charge this, right? So adding to that point, making sure all your equipment is fully charged. You might have seconds, but I think having fully charged batteries is very important.
I think starting off with them fully charged, having a power bank if you can, and also knowing that sometimes with recording in different settings, the battery can drain a little bit faster. So if I am doing something, let's say with headphones and I'm just listening to music, it might drain in 2 hours. But if I'm doing a webinar, it might be a bit faster. And being aware of those things before the webinar is a nice no.
Yeah. What about when it comes to things going wrong, as we experienced earlier on in this session?
What are you talking about? Things going wrong? That never happens, Gary. Never.
Never live, right? Yeah.
I mean, that's the quickest way to go viral, isn't it? Just to have something go wrong. Everyone loves that. It's a universal thing. But it's the older saying, right? The show has to go on. As long as you can see them and they're in focus, as long as you can hear them and there's not too much background noise that it's overpowering, go on with it. If you can incorporate it, if it's an interruption but it's not too bad, incorporate it and make a joke about it, point it out just so the audience isn't distracted by it. And roll on with it. Whether it's something going on in the background. I remember a couple of years ago when we did our first live stream, there was drilling downstairs and we just had to wait it out. It's part of being live, and it's almost more genuine that things are going wrong, as they will.
Yes. Going back to my whole authentic part of my explainer earlier on. But Zach, thank you for that. Thank you for chiming in here. We are running a little bit on time. I want to make sure we're on schedule here. So thank you for the update. Guys, give it a round for Zach. Zach, do you have anything last things you want to say before you leave?
Thanks for having me. Look out for that little mini kit behind you. Treat it well and have fun with the rest of the show, Gary.
Thanks, bro. All right, cool. So thank you, Zach, for tuning in, and I hope that was valuable for everyone.